Well, good morning, everyone. As Glenn said, my name is Brad Williamson. I am the manager of powertrain component marketing for Daimler Trucks North America. And from what everybody had to say today, I could just go on and commenting about what they said. One thing absolutely Chuck Blake would cry if we brought back the 92. I was in Detroit yesterday and talked to him, and he showed me a poster that we put out, more of an internal poster, but where the 92 got almost 10 miles a gallon in a test 20 years ago or something like that. So very good engine. But I can and will tell you that we're not, anything I'll talk about today, we're not bringing back the 92. So feel safer right now. You know, everybody here talked about a lot of things today in terms of what we're doing going forward, what we're looking at years out, what the landscape is in terms of natural gas and hybrids and other things like that. I took a little bit of different spin on things today. I wanted to focus more on what's going to happen maybe the next 12 to 24 months and a little bit beyond that. We all know that 2013 is coming, GHG 14 is coming. I want to give you a little bit on what Daimler Trucks and Detroit together are doing to accomplish the goals we need to accomplish for GHG 14. And that really started a couple weeks ago when we announced the new Freightliner Cascadia Evolution powered by the newly designed Detroit DD15. This is a new product for us. It is the Cascadia that we've all known for a few years. It is the DD15 we all known for a few years. But both of those products are essentially all new for GHG 14 and for actually 2013. This combination, the Evolution combination, will get up to 7% better fuel economy than a 2010 Cascadia DD15 combination and 5% better fuel economy than a current Cascadia that's on the road today powered by a Detroit DD15. But as Dave said, there is no silver bullet, right? It's all a bunch of little things added one by one by one by one to get to that 5% or that 7% or whatever that number is. We all have fuel economy goals. GHG is all about getting better fuel economy, lower CO2, and the Evolution package really is the next step for Daimler Trucks to take us there. So, being mostly an engine guy and that we're at an engine panel discussion here this morning, I'm going to focus just on the engine and a few of the things we've done to this new DD15. So if we look at the new DD15, there are a slew of changes. One thing I want to be clear on this morning, it is not the DD15 from 2007 or from 2010 that we added Blue Tech to. Both of those great engines, all that technology is great, but as Dave said again, we've looked at every little thing that we could about the engine to squeeze every little bit of fuel economy that we could out of this engine. And through that we have new technology like a proprietary asymmetric turbocharger. We've had weight savings of almost and sometimes over 100 pounds depending on your measurements, a variable speed water pump, a new ACRS system. So all these taken together really produce this new DD15 that's going to power the Evolution. So let's take a quick look at a couple of these technologies a little more in depth here. The first one is the proprietary asymmetric turbocharger. This is going to be built by Daimler. We will put a proprietary turbo on there that we haven't done in the past. The big thing here is by this new turbocharger is a little less complex. We're going to save a little bit of weight over what we've had in the past, and we're going to be able to optimally match this turbocharger to our EGR system, which is going to produce some of that real-world fuel economy that we're hoping to deliver. And again, I keep going to continue to repeat myself here, but it's all little things added up that give you those 5 and those 7 numbers. The next piece of technology we'll look at is ACRS. In 2007, we launched the DD15. We spoke about ACRS. That's the Amplified Common Rail Fuel System. The real difference there is the A. A lot of technologies out there have a common rail system. Our amplified system takes kind of a two-pressure system. On the outside, the lines, the pumps, all of that, it's a low pressure, 13 to 15,000 PSI. When you get into the injector, we amplify that pressure. The old version was around 32,000 PSI. With this new next generation ACRS, will improve or increase that pressure to about 38,000 PSI. That's going to allow us to really control that combustion process, have a little bit leaner air to fuel ratio, and which will create less soot, which will lower or can extend out the regeneration intervals. So again, all these things contributing to the fuel economy improvements of the engine. The next piece we'll look at here is the fuel filter system. On the current and the original DD15, we had a 3-filter system that had fuel filter interval changes out to about 50,000 miles. Now we've went to a two fuel filter system. So losing one of the filters and extending the change interval out to 100,000 miles is going to do two things. One, it's going to save all of you, all the customers, a little bit of money in serviceability, right? One less filter, a longer drain interval, or excuse me, a longer change interval. So you're going to be able to stay on the road longer and keep running and making money. The second thing it did is by eliminating that second filter is it's going to decrease some of the cost in there. But I will say that the system still does the exact same thing. We took the water separation filter and the particle removal filter and essentially put them together into one filter. So system still does a lot of the same things, but it's going to be a lot less costly for the customer to run. The next piece, kind of like Dave said, if you look at the, like a variable speed fan or electronically controlled fan, we now have a variable speed water pump. And it's kind of the same principle in terms that if you need the system to have full flow rate, then we can use the water pump to flow coolant at the rate necessary. But based on engine speed and coolant temperature, we can change the speed of that water pump. So when we can go into the lower flow rate mode, we're going to have less parasitic loss in the engine, which again is going to add up to a little bit more fuel economy, a little bit more fuel economy. So as you start to add up all of these changes, you start to see where some of that 5 and those 7% improvements come from. The last technology I want to talk about, or the last piece of the DD15 I want to talk about today, is the new piston design. There's two things about the piston design. One, it's going to reduce the friction, which is, again, less friction is going to create less wear, which is also going to create a better engine over time, and also a little bit better fuel economy right now. And then also oil consumption. It has a carbon scraper incorporated into it that's going to keep the carbon from building up on the piston topland, which over the course of time would build up and increase your oil consumption. So using this carbon scraper over the course of time will keep that oil consumption pretty consistent throughout the life of the engine. So I know I was brief today, but again, I wanted to focus on what we're doing today. We obviously have all the things that most people talk about in terms of natural gas. We're looking at that with Cummins, obviously, as a strategic partner. Daimler Trucks North America has much more in the technology in terms of we have a new DT12 transmission. We're looking at down speeding. All these things that we talk about that we'll probably talk more about on the panel here in a few minutes are things that we're looking at. But I wanted to take the opportunity to really explain to you what we're doing for you today in terms of GHG14 and the products that we're going to put out there and the fuel economy that we can deliver. So thank you very much for Randall Raleigh for having me here today, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to all of you.